Hey, Purpose Driven Sis, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Daphne, and here I'm going to discuss my moving process. Oh my goodness, y'all. I traveled from New York. I'm a native New Yorker, born and raised in Strong Island. Okay, so that is not the city, that's the suburbs. For some of you who may think New York is just New York City. No. So I grew up in the quiet, boring suburbs, and I have relocated to Connecticut. I'm now in New London County. Okay, so if you've been sensing the Lord unctioning you or pulling you, or you feel like you're in a season of transition right now, this is the video for you. And while you're here, if you don't mind, hit that like button if you sense God transitioning you in this season. All right. Right before I get into the process, I want to tell you guys the reason I had lost my job during the pandemic, not once, but 2 times. Okay. I'm a board certified chaplain, so I've been trained to help people process their emotions linked to grief and loss, death, and dying. And during the pandemic, unfortunately, I was in a hospital and I lost my job in New York. I had to figure it out, right? I couldn't stay living on unemployment. I've been working since I was 14 years old. So it was kind of like my life was turned upside down. I'm like, God, what in the world is going on? I know that chaplaincy is a part of my purpose. I know that you called and created me to do this for a reason that is beyond me. I'm seeing people be healed. I'm seeing people learn how to cope. I'm seeing people get better because you're using me in the hospital ministry. And so when that was in essence taken from me in a way that wasn't even legally done, I'm now put in this position where I have to figure it out pretty much for myself, quick, fast, and in a hurry. So I'm trying to apply for other jobs, but it's not working. Nobody's going to hire me because of what was going on. I prayed about it and I said, Lord, what would you have me to do? What is it that you would have me to do during the season of transition? So that's the first step I want to tell you to do. If you are sensing the Lord moving you, shifting you, calling you to transition in some way, shape, or form, or you're curious about, you're like, I think I need to change. I feel like my season here is up. The first thing you need to do is pray. Pray, 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 and be intentional about that thing. Ask God, first of all, Lord, do you want me to move? Is this the season that you have preset for me to transition? Or am I supposed to move in a year from now? Ask God about the when of it, okay? According to his will, not yours. When you pray, ask God to remove all of the frustration, all of the anxiety, all of the carnality that would cause you to operate in your emotions and in your flesh as opposed to in his spirit. Because if we move out of the flesh, we're not going to bear fruit, right? And so we want to make sure we're in the perfect will of God, and that's going to require prayer, okay? And I specifically ask God to align me with his perfect will, because you do realize we have two wills in operation in the life of a believer, right? You have your permissive will, where God gives you free will and allows you to choose what you soever will, right? Now, what we choose oftentimes when we're operating in free will is what feels good to our flesh, what feels satisfying to our soul, which is our will, our thoughts, and our emotions, right? What feels good to our body. Oh, this feels right now, so I'm just going to move here. But it may not be what the Spirit of the living God wants for you to do or wills for you to do. So you want to pray and ask God to give you the ability to accept his will for your life. So you want to pray that prayer. Then you want to make sure you ask God, when should you move and where should you move? All right. So if you should move, when you should move, and where you should move. Also, if you be like me, ask the big question, why? Why should I move? Because that why is going to be something that you need to fall back on over the course of moving, because moving is not easy. Transition is not easy. Change is not easy. It's not easy to just say, hey, let me just pack up my bags and get moving to another state. My whole life was in New York. My whole family is in New York. My career path, all of my favorite restaurants, my favorite nail tech, hairstylist, all of those things are in the state of New York. My masseuse, good God, in the state of New York, right? And so you really need to ask God why, because it's very easy to just say, oh, I'm just leaving because I'm just frustrated and I'm aggravated. And no, but is this really a part of his bigger purpose for your life? And if in fact it is, then that's going to be the thing that you're able to keep coming back to when it gets frustrating as you're in transition. Because I'm telling you right now, as of last month, I've been in Connecticut 1 full year. And I'm telling you, I have learned so much about the season of transition, and I'm going to be sharing updates with you guys over the course of this year and probably even beyond, because there's just so much that I've learned throughout this season of transition that I believe can help those of you who have been in transition as well. All right, so that's the first thing you want to do is pray. Now, after I prayed, I had a dream. In the dream, I didn't know where I was. It seemed like I was in another country. I thought I was like in Haiti or someplace. I have never been to Haiti, but in my mind, like in a dream, you can think like, oh, I think I'm here, or I think this, or what have you. And I thought I was in Haiti. I don't know what Haiti looks like. I don't know what it seems like. I don't know what it smells like. I've never been there. I'd love to travel there one day. However, a part of the dream revealed where I was, and the location that this woman in the dream shared was Tribeca. She said, we're in Tribeca. Now, I didn't know where Tribeca was. I had no idea where that was. Now, mind you, remember, I just prayed, right? I'm sharing this story for a purpose, for a reason. So follow along with me. We're going somewhere. So I woke up from the dream and I looked up Tribeca. Tribeca apparently is a place in New York. Little did I know, right? It's in downtown, like Manhattan, someplace in New York, or like on the crossover. I think it's in between the cross between Brooklyn and Queens or something like that, right? So fast forward a little bit down the road, I get offered 2 positions. And so I get a call, one from Connecticut, sharing that I'm being offered a full-time position to continue being a certified chaplain in a hospital. I get another call from a hospital in New York saying that I've been offered the director position to be the director of the chaplains, which I've done both positions before. And so I have experience in both. Now, the one that was in the hospital in New York is a 6-figure salary, right? And the one that's in the hospital in Connecticut is not a 6-figure salary. It's a chaplain position versus the director of the chaplains, right? If I take the director position, where does that leave my business? Because in the midst of all this, the Lord gave me a business idea as well. All this happens at once, right? Talk about transition. So I'm saying, okay, God, well, where does that leave the business, right? If I'm being a director, how can I be a CEO? I've never heard of a CEO who's also a director at someone else's business. Like it's either one or the other. Long story short, God gave me options, right? I prayed again and I'm like, Lord, what is your will? And then I remembered the dream showed me Tribeca. So I Googled where the hospital was that I was offered the 6-figure position. It was 5 minutes from Tribeca in New York. So I'm saying, oh my gosh, this has to be the will of God concerning me, because hello, boom, all right, 6 figures were in there, right? So I'm like, okay, God, let's go, increase, elevation. Yes. The offer letter, I'm all rah, rah, this is amazing. Look at the salary, the benefits, everything is great, until one thing happened. Right before I told the Connecticut hospital director at the time that I wasn't going to take the job, the manager at the New York hospital reached out and said, we noticed on your application that you said you don't work Sundays. Now, Sunday, as a Christian, as a woman of God, Sunday is my Sabbath. So no, I do not work Sundays. That is my conviction. That is my belief. And I believe that is my religious right as a Christian to rest on the Lord's day. And so I shared this with this manager in the New York hospital, and she said, we need a director who is available on Sundays as well. And I said, well, unfortunately, I'm not going to compromise my beliefs to accept this position. However, I'm sure there are other chaplains who maybe don't believe the same thing that we could get to cover. And she said, well, we like to have the director as the one. I said, okay. I went back in prayer and I said, Lord, let your will be done. And even before I spoke to the New York hospital again, I already knew within my spirit that it was all starting to make sense. Now, I had the dream about Tribeca because that big position, 6-figure position, would be offered to me. It was God said, okay, it's up to you. Are you going to say, yes, I'll accept this because look at the position. I can get my house now. I can do this now. And my salary, I'll be set, while putting me second. Are you going to put career, opportunity, open door, money, wealth as priority and put me as second, because you know you have that conviction where Sunday's your Sabbath and you don't work on my day. But I'm going to give you the choice, right? Woo! I said, Lord, it's not about the money. I don't want it. If that means I'm going to have to compromise my belief system, I absolutely don't want it. And not only that, that was number one. And then number two, you gave me this amazing business idea that is blessing women. And so God was growing my business. So I'm like, well, how in the world can I be a director and a CEO? The woman reaches out to me and she says, I'm going to give you one last chance. We really need someone who can commit to Sundays. I said to her, ma'am, I said, respectfully, it can't be me. I said, my beliefs and my relationship with the Lord means more to me than a six-figure position. And I walked away and I went to Connecticut. Here we are now. So I said all that to say, after you pray, look for God's direction. Look for his instruction. Get prepared, right, for what it is you're praying for. After I prayed, I didn't just sit there and twiddle my fingers. I had to keep applying the jobs. I had to keep doing the work. And then God gave me options and then gave me an opportunity to choose whatsoever I willed. And it just so happened that I willed for his will be done and not my own. And so I took the lesser income, but because God is amazing, I ended up with the same salary I was making in the state of New York, plus $1,000 more living in Connecticut. So my cost of living is crazy cheap. I've been paying things off like week after week. I'm like, less bills, less bills, less bills. And I have so much extra that I'm able to invest, even double what I was investing when I was still living in New York. So God causes it all to work together for the good. Now, number three, you want to plan. So after you pray, after you prepare, you want to plan the who, what, when. What is the time frame, the where, and the why of your move, okay? Who is necessary for this to happen, for this transition to take place? What is it that is going to be necessary? Do you have to rent something? Do you have to hire a moving team? Do you have to research some things? When? What is the time frame, right? What is the most realistic time frame? Do you have to let your job know that you're getting ready to leave? Do you have to let family and friends? Do you have to have a going away party, right? What, when? What is the time frame? Then logistically, where? How is the area? What is it about this area? What are the reviews? There are a lot of reviews and websites and things out there that helped me along the way. One that I used was called Niche, Niche, I think .com. I'll double check and post it on the screen, but they are an amazing website. They give reviews from real life neighbors in the area, in the state of town or town that you're moving in. It gives you a lot of information about the location. So research. That's number four. Take action. You don't want to just pray, prepare, and plan. You want to take action. Once you get that okay from God, you want to figure out what you want. I had to think about it. What type of neighborhood do I want to live in? Well, I'm from Long Island. That's suburban. It's quiet. That's what I'm used to. That's what I like. So I researched a quiet suburban area, and thanks be to God, that's exactly what I found. So I had to look into what type of neighborhood. I like to be in mixed neighborhoods. I don't like to be in all of one race or all of one people group or all of one culture. I like to be in mixed neighborhoods, again, because that's how I grew up. Shout out to Bayshore. We're a very mixed community, Black, white, Spanish, Asian, everything in between, Indian, okay? And so I like to be around all different sort of races, and thanks be to God, that's what I got here too. In the town I'm in now, I wanted it to be a middle class area. I wanted to make sure it was a low crime rate, not too far from my job. All of these things were important factors in deciding to relocate. All right. So you want to take action and go through details such as these. Next, you want to count the cost. And that's what I did. What are the moving expenses? What's the security deposit? How much is rent? How much I have to budget? Can I afford it? How much can I afford, right? So you want to count the cost of what is it that it's going to take from me financially? How can I budget better? How can I pay off things sooner? How can I invest more? How can I stop spending so much? At what point do I need to be more of a saver as opposed to a spender? Do I need someone to hold me accountable to do these things to make sure I reach my financial goals by whatever the deadline is that I establish? Next, you want to create a schedule. I am the schedule queen, okay? Try to time just how long each single task you have to do will take. Like on the day of your move, before your move, weeks leading up, months leading up, How long is it going to take you to pack? How long is it going to take you to sort through things? How long is it going to take you to get from the location you're moving from to the location you're moving to, right? Do you have things in storage? How much is all that going to be? How much time? You want to factor in time is very important because I can give you one really important piece right here. The earlier you start with a move, the better it'll be. And also stretch. Let me just throw this one in there because, baby, the physical labor, I don't care if you have a moving team. There's still things you're sorting through. There's still things you're picking up off the floor or you're cleaning or whatever. You want to be stretched out well. You want to get your water. You want to have your vitamin C. You want to be in good working condition and shape so that you don't hurt yourself or pull any muscles, all right? And then lastly, I want to tell you to brainstorm your dream team. It takes a team to make the move happen. I'm telling you. Trust me, I know. A dream team. Okay. Thanks to my mom, I had an amazing dream team of family and friends. So you want to identify those who support you, those that will help you as you move, those that are not looking to take from you, but those that are looking to give. I literally wanted to give these people, these family and friends, money, and they were like offended. Like, are you kidding me? I was like, come on, like, let me cash out you something, at least for lunch or whatever. They were like, no, we got you. We got you. Like, it was such, I can cry thinking about it. It was such a blessing. Brainstorm a dream team. Put that in your list, right? I had a notebook every day, probably months before the move date happened, planning out this week I have to clear out storage. That week I have to go through and sort through items. This week I have to call and find out what type of service providers are in the area. It was serious. And I'll have another video I'll entitle What No One Tells You About Moving Out of State, because there's so many little things that people don't always mention, and you won't know unless you go through it or you've known someone that has gone through it. So again, you want to identify those who can support you. It's going to make your life a lot easier. I'm telling you, teamwork really does make the dream work. I want to encourage you to check out this video right here because it's going to go more in depth about what I think is also important in the season of transition. The signs. You want to know the signs. Is God calling me to move? Is this a transition? What are the signs that are happening spiritually? What are the signs that are happening naturally that is causing me to sense a shift? You're going to want to check this out. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.